introducing. It's
Yeah.
me, Alessio
It's always
Francesco. I know.
It's always
So yeah, we'll jump right into the topics. Have a nice speedy one because last week took a while. Um, First we'll talk about Francesco's favourite topic. Go on. Oh, don't cry. So
Uh,
yeah, Microsoft, Activision. Uh,
looks
yeah,
looks like it's happening probably at this point because well, the CMA kind of made a surprising U-turn. Just I think in early February, actually on my birthday, but they announced, oh no, Microsoft has reason to make Call of Duty an exclusive to Xbox. So it was one of their main concerns at the time. And then just I think on Friday they changed their mind. They said no, we have actually reviewed our models, our financial models, and basically it wouldn't be financially profitable for Microsoft to do that, to lose all of the PlayStation revenue, which is the majority of the Call of Duty revenue, as we all know. So basically they ruled out that the acquisition could endanger the console market. So basically, the only remaining concern they have is with regards to cloud gaming. But like generally, the general vibe right now is that it's probably going to be waved through because Microsoft has been doing quite a few contracts with various cloud companies like, well, GeForce Now with NVIDIA, and then Boosteroid, then Ubitus. So basically, they will bring all of their games to these cloud services, and well, even Activision Blizzard's if the deal goes through. So in theory, there's now a very solid chance of it passing, and also the CMA was basically the main hurdle because the FTC would probably lose a case in court if it got there. And the European Union, according to rumors, was already kind of leaning towards accepting the deal. And basically, the CMA was the main hurdle. So with the removal of the Call of Duty concern, which is the main one that Sony had been pushing. We can't have PlayStation without Call of Duty. And so at this point, it will be also interesting to see whether Sony actually ends up signing the deal that Microsoft has been offering them to keep Call of Duty on their platform for 10 years with full parity, like they have done with Nintendo, or not. I mean, at this point, it would be kind of funny if Microsoft can get this approved without needing to offer the same to Sony. And it will be kind of a bad look for them in terms of kind of losing the tactical game in a way, because they have been edging everything on this, and then maybe they should have signed the deal when they could.
Yeah. I think, it doesn't surprise me, money talks and everything, and the reality is that the UK government doesn't understand much about the games industry anyway. But, well, as I said, I expected it going through all along. I wouldn't. Well, I just think Microsoft are going to they'll talk big now, but then before too long you're going to find that Call of Duty, all of those games are going to be exclusive, and you can't blame them. You don't spend $70 billion and to not keep things and to not use them as an advantage. So it's only going as I expected. At the most, I thought some authorities might say you've got to give Sony Call of Duty equivalent, the equivalent version for at least 10 years. But yeah, it's going to go the way of ZeniMax, where exclusivity will be on a case by case basis, where they'll a purely multiplayer game like probably something like Fallout 76 or Fallout Shelter will be on multiple platforms, whereas the big blockbusters, Starfield, probably the next Doom, will just be exclusive to whatever Microsoft wants it to be, which is the Xbox and PC. So yeah, doesn't matter. There's still no reason to own an Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, with
Well,
their day one releases, just if you have a PC, you're set.
Well, that's
Gaming
it. I'm gonna
PC,
say there's no reason for me to ever own an Xbox. It's like I've got a
yeah.
PC and I've got a PlayStation and I've got a Switch.
yeah,
I mean,
but
the PlayStation and Switch are just big dust collectors, but it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
yeah, well, I guess Microsoft hasn't cared about getting everyone onto Xbox for quite a while. They're
I,
platform agnostic at
they
this
do
point.
still care. They do still care because of the same reason as anything. They want people to buy the consoles. One, because it sells them consoles, and two, because same as the console industry's always relied on, third party sales of a full third party sale gets them 30% of a game. It's still worth a lot of money for them, the licensing and everything else.
Oh no, yeah, but I mean, for them, as long as you buy their games or subscribe to Game Pass, whether
Yeah.
you're doing it from PC or even mobile, even whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and if
Still.
you're playing on PC, it's almost likely you're playing on Windows.
But
So
Yeah.
is
it's
there
still
anything
their
else?
well, there is, but it's
Not for
just
games.
problems. From what I hear, it's just problems over
There's nothing
problems
else
over
for
problems.
games. We know
Well,
that.
there's the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck doesn't run Windows out of the box.
So yeah, there's nothing else for games.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see at this point because things could speed up quite considerably because both the UK and the European Union will give their verdicts next month. So I guess we'll have to see if the FTC wants to drag this to court or not. Because if they don't, if they kind of understand it's a losing battle, then this could get approved in a couple, 2 or 3 months maybe, and maybe Diablo will actually launch on Game Pass after all. We'll see.
Yeah.
Bye servers if it does, because even without Game Pass, I wasn't able to get into the beta, into the second open beta. I was able to get into last week, and if that's on Game Pass, they really need to improve their servers a lot. If they
Didn't
do
they
that.
say Diablo's not going to be on Game Pass?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they said
but
for
that was
now it's not going to
for
be.
now. But if Microsoft gets this signed, soon, they will give them a call and say,
Well, yeah,
it's
they
actually
will, and they will end up putting it on, of course. But it's same as they'll just play a sneaky thing. They'll stick to that. It's not going to be on Game Pass. They'll sell as many copies as they think they can, probably over 6 months, and then put it on Game Pass, or maybe a year, something like that. It's what I'd
yeah,
do.
I guess it's probably
If I was a soulless, heartless company just in it for the money, that's what I'd do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
anyway, with Diablo, it's mostly the first day of the beta. Like if you log now, there is no
Yeah,
queue.
I just tried it like the other day, then I said fuck it, because I had already completed it the first time, so it was just
Yeah.
trying another character that I can wait until when I'll get it, because I'll probably not get it. I'll release too many stuff on that month, but I can wait for that.
Yeah. Oh well. So anyway, yeah, I suppose that's that topic. Quite quick and easy.
Yeah.
Let's move on to since we've just said that there's no real competition, but you mentioned the people who created the Steam Deck. Well, you mentioned the Steam Deck. Let's talk about Counter-Strike 2.
It's real.
Go on, talk to us about it, somebody.
Yeah. Well, Valve is still making games, people. That's the news.
I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, they just came up with this. We did have some kind of forewarning. There were some leaks about Counter-Strike 2, but as you all know, there were leaks for years, and then nothing panned out. So yeah, it was still kind of iffy whether that was true or not. And then, Valve in their style, they were like, okay, Counter-Strike 2 is happening. It's coming out this summer, so very soon. And they've actually already started the limited test. And it's even it's even been leaked. So people can download it like via torrents and whatnot and play it offline if they want to check out the new features. Well, it looks like a kind of improved version of Counter-Strike. It doesn't look like it's going to be a massive change, which is probably because the game is still played by a lot of people on Steam, so they don't want to alienate their current fan base. But there are some interesting additions. For example, the smoke system, which is now fully dynamic. So basically, you can actually punch through smoke with bullets, and for example, you can improve visibility that way. So that's an interesting thing. Also, they will be redoing the interface, the user interface. They will be overhauling a number of maps to take advantage of the Source 2, the engine, the new engine. And probably for competitive players, the biggest news is that they re-engineered the server architecture. So basically, whether the previous Counter-Strike was based on a tick rate server architecture, where basically the server would update every once in a few milliseconds. This time they've done a so-called sub-tick server architecture, where supposedly the game will know exactly when you toss a grenade or whatever action you can make in the game. So it doesn't have to wait for the next tick to update the game, So it should hopefully improve the responsiveness of the game and perhaps even avoid those situations where you're like, oh, I shot the guy, but he didn't die, stuff like that. We'll see. So far, I think most, if not all, of the competitive shooters are based on a tick rate architecture. So maybe Valve, maybe they could actually provide an innovation on this count.
I was wondering now. Counter-Strike is not a demanding game, and people are running it at like hundreds of FPS on every system. So it will be interesting to see if there's going to be a limit when the new tick rate is not going to follow the frame rates. So it will be interesting to see how high this limit will be, because I don't think servers can handle to infinity FPS and beyond.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a limit. There's going to be the infrastructure is the limit, of course. So it's not. It will be interesting.
Yeah, and actually there are some, I think, strings that people found in the game files that refer to mobile. So people are now speculating that Valve might be even gearing up to make a mobile version of Counter-Strike 2. So that will be a first, because I don't think there is any Valve game on mobile devices now.
No. Yeah.
No.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Mobile, it's just too big of a market to fully ignore at this point. So I guess it makes sense for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's seeing PUBG Mobile success, and they just want a piece of that cake, pretty much. But
Well, you
not
can't.
everything.
I suppose you
You
can't blame them, can you?
No, but it's a different market than the PC and console, as we have seen. Respawn as and the AI and the Electronic Arts have closed down Apex Legends Mobile, and
Yeah,
I
and
mean
Battlefield
that was
Mobile.
a
Yeah,
big property. So
yeah. It's not
not easy.
guaranteed that you
Yeah.
succeed even with a non-franchise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. Uh, but yeah, it's not long now. So summer season, of course. Summer for Valve may mean summer. I don't know,
No, I'm
2025 or
going to say it
something.
is Valve, so chances are
Yeah,
2030.
yeah. But
It is Valve.
Yeah.
it's good to see they are making new games, but it does seem
Well,
like this.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
weird one. I mean, it was only like a few weeks ago we said like, yeah, the last games they made weren't, well,
Mm,
yeah, wasn't the most. Haven't been making the most well received of titles.
yeah.
Sometimes,
I
anyway.
think. Yeah, but I think the three course remains because they're going with Counter-Strike 2 on this, and I don't think they've ever made the game with three in the
Mm.
title. So no Left 4 Dead 3, no Half-Life 3.
No,
Mm.
no, they couldn't
Yes.
even make fucking episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just they stop at 3. Yeah, 3 is
2.
not.
They stop at 2. They look at the number 3 and they're like,
Yeah.
No.
no.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Oh well. Yeah, it's Counter Strike. It'll be good, but I'm not overly bothered about it. I don't know. I've played them. I've spent my time with Counter Strike, but shooters just aren't my jam anymore.
Yeah.
And obviously, multiplayer games are definitely not my jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know.
You could shoot people in the head and
Yeah,
not get in prison for it.
yeah, true. Right. So go on. Pick another topic, Alessio. Pick another.
Um,
Which do you
well,
want? Let's go
I
with the
think.
let's go with the less controversial one actually. The
Mm.
yeah, the whatever teaser trailer,
Yeah.
whatever. Mind's Eye.
Yeah, well, Francesco, maybe you can talk
I
about
actually
this
know
if you
nothing
want.
about this, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is actually something. It was something unexpected because when this is a game from GTA producer Rockstar North president Leslie Benzies that was announced
Yeah.
while ago. I think last year it was announced,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So,
people were thinking it was another GTA kind of game, open world and stuff. It's actually something a bit more. There's
yeah.
there's that story driven experience, but there's also something like a building like Roblox there. That's what it looks like, game building stuff
yeah.
inside the game, and that's actually
Yeah.
surprising because outside of Roblox, well, Fortnite is doing that as well now
Yeah.
with their real creator. But it's fun. It's fun that we're getting all of these things, or well, actually, the announcement of one of these things at almost the same time. They're probably seen as an untapped market
Yeah.
on
User
PC and
generated
consoles.
content
Yeah, they're
is.
probably seeing something, an
Uh,
opportunity in this.
well, Roblox is still making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of IPs adapted and whatnot. So yeah, this is basically going to be a game where they are putting the development tools into the hands of players, and they aim to be like a more mature version of Roblox. So you can make more mature games, the more realistic games, of course, because the underlying engine is the Unreal Engine, but
Mm.
they have layered it with their own tools to make it easier for users to create stuff. And then you can also You can also share it very easily, and there is kind of I don't know if you remember the PlayStation Hub, PlayStation Home.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
PlayStation Home.
PlayStation
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home. Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
think I think I tried that for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be basically like that, a bit like
God. Yeah.
an MMO where you can. There is a kind of a place where you can meet other people. You can, and then you can join games by portals in this overworld.
I always
And
wonder
one,
when I hear about things like this, PlayStation Home, there's a cat in the background. Um,
Yeah.
I always wonder when I hear about these things if anybody's heard of this thing called the outside world. You know, where you can meet people and things like that. Why are you getting in the washing basket? Yeah, strange cat. Um,
no,
So yeah, that was like this dark dream. So yeah, yeah, I always wonder if people have heard of the real world. You know, where you can meet people, where you can, do things. You can even play games. You know, foot the ball and I don't know, lacrosse if you're posh and a twat.
yeah, but like you said, you always say that people are nasty. So,
I never say they're
meeting,
nasty. I say they're all cunts.
well, yeah. The, the bottom line is that it's a lot less of a hassle to just meet them online instead of offline. So you can
Yeah,
just,
I suppose if you must.
Yeah.
uh,
You know who's missing out from all of this, and it's really stupid. I don't know why they haven't done that already. It's Sony with Dreams.
Yeah, to
They
be
have
fair,
the
yeah,
perfect thing, and they're not bringing it to PC.
yeah,
That's so
yeah,
weird.
I agree.
They could be. I've seen what some people do in Dreams on a PlayStation 4, and some of the stuff looks really good. And can you imagine what they will be able to do on PC? And Sony is just not interested in doing that. I mean, I
No.
mean,
yeah,
it even feels like they just sent the game out to die, almost. Because I remember they released that, and then
I
there
mean, I
was
think
no
it
big.
was doing quite well for a bit, wasn't it?
It
But
it was it was, but it feels like they just released that, and then that is it. This is it now.
yeah,
We don't care anymore.
yeah, but it's not. I think at this point, Media Molecule is kind of a little studio for them that does their own thing. They let them do it, but they're not their main focus.
Yeah.
Their main
yeah,
focus are Naughty Dog and Sony Santa Monica, since they sell a lot more. Their games sell a lot more.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
I think games like Dreams are just handy because, well, they do help with, well, they do help sell consoles. That's the simple fact of it. Because a console seller, yeah, they're not. How can I say it? Yes, they're not system shifters by themselves, but if you're interested in one game, say you're interested in Last of Us, and then on top of that there's Dreams. Dreams might be the game that's tipped you over the edge to buy the console. So rather than
Mm.
buying a console for one game, you're buying it for more than one game. These things do help, and that's, well, they've always helped like that. That's always
Mm.
been the case. And I mean, Media Molecule have been reasonably successful over the past.
Mm.
They've had
yeah,
they've had Big Planet Little and
Yeah.
games like that.
yeah, no, for sure. But like Francesco said, it does seem like they're not promoting this as they
No,
should.
yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah, getting back to everywhere. The interesting thing is that people, when this was first announced, were like, "Oh no, this is going to be like blockchain or crypto." But the good news is that
Mm.
it won't have any of that. So there is no blockchain or NFTs involved.
Yeah,
So it's just user generated
good.
content, and also, well, like Francesco was saying earlier, they're going to have their own experience, game-like experience called Mantai. It will be episodic, so they said they want to shift a lot between episodes, even the gameplay. So that could be interesting. It's being made with AAA quality, so kind of like a showcase for what the whole tool set can do.
Yeah,
So
we'll see. We'll see.
yeah, they're not that far off from you, Chris. They are in Edinburgh. So
Up
how
in
far is it
Scotland.
from you? Yeah.
A good couple of probably about 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Mm.
I could go there. I could go if they want if they want me to tell them how the best thing to do with this game is make it single player.
Yeah. Okay. But there is a single player game that
Even better,
you
no. I'm thinking now they should use me as a voice actor, and I'll be the NPC that's a miserable bastard. So every time you go to him, he goes, "Oi, what you want, you can't." I don't know why I've gone southern and like
I don't
London Cockney, but
I, I don't think they're going to let you say "can't" too many times.
why? It's the
I don't
best
think I
word.
don't think I've heard that word in games in a long time.
I don't know.
I'm
We
pretty
need
sure
it now.
I'm pretty sure there is, but it's older stuff. People are sensitive about things now.
No, people. Yeah.
Are sensitive about things.
but I was saying on the upside, there is one single player game that you previewed a long time ago and is finally about to come out, and it's the Gollum game. Are you happy, Chris?
Yeah, I'll play it. I will play it. I mean, I've seen it already. I've had a bit of hands-on time, and I like Lord of the Rings, so it's just going to be interesting to see how it all works out.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
interesting to see how. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
it's well, they delayed it a lot, so hopefully they improved it enough.
Yeah.
Still not going to be AAA or anything. It's just some Eurojank will be in there for sure. But
No, I had to say it looked pretty respectful of the canon though, and that's always a good thing. It didn't look like they were doing stupid shit that felt like they didn't belong. At least from the latest trailer. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing in my book when they just don't disrespect the canon. Well, and the Lord of the Rings is more than an established canon. I mean,
Just a bit, just a little.
yeah. So
Yeah, it'll
uh,
be. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
well, anyway, coming out on May 2015. So
Yeah, well, I'll play it. I will play it. I will play it. And now yeah. I suppose we're moving on quickly. The last topic now. Uh,
mhm.
Always an interesting one. Well, I said no, wrong yours. Not interesting. Always one of those. So allegations happen and blah, blah and etc. So apparently Chris Avalon is yeah, the sexual well, what was it? Sexual harassment? No, worse than harassment case claims, wasn't it?
yeah, they were saying he like took funds.
Yeah.
It was much. It wasn't just that, but it was.
uh,
They retracted the accusations.
yeah, basically, well, they were kind of dismissed with prejudice, apparently, on
Mm.
by the court,
So that
by
just
the
means
judge.
that dismissed with prejudice means they cannot ever bring it back. They
Mm.
can't. Yeah, I can't ever take it back to court.
Yeah, so people were saying it's a pretty high bar to pass in court. So he must have had some pretty good evidence to clear it. And well, it's like I said, it's not a good idea to always side with
Mm.
the with the victims claiming they have been victims just by default, because there's always a chance that it may not be true, or at least not in the way they are saying it. And the fact is, Avalone is now, I think he's been awarded a 7-figure sum, but by the court, but it will always be tarnished in terms of reputation. So lots of, for example, he was working on Dying Light 2, and then Techland kind of stopped working with him, and other, developers he had a contract with stopped working with him, and now I don't know which ones will welcome him back in the industry or not. So I think for at least a while longer, it'll be kind of a pariah still. But
yeah, the damage is done. The damage is done, I think.
Yeah.
It always is. I mean, you see this with any case. I don't know. It's a weird one. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the difficulty. I suppose that's the difficulty. The problem is there are always times where, and I understand what you're saying, that you can't immediately, you can't just believe the victims, and you can't. But at the same, or the alleged victims, people come out. But at the same time, you can. Well, we've seen it. People go too far, and they won't. They just said people are lying regardless. You're always going to find some people who aren't telling the truth, but 99 times out of 100, people who are making allegations tend to be telling the truth.
Yeah, I think this is the problem.
Even more than 99 times out of 100.
That it has become that it's more often than not the accusations are real. So that's why I think they tend to believe into every accusation, but because it's so often they are real.
Yeah.
Everything gets lumped together, and then every accusation is real.
I suppose it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just the whole court system is made that way for a reason. There is the benefit of the doubt. I mean, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that some kind of crime has been committed. Otherwise, everyone can say shit about everyone. So
yeah, I suppose that's a. Well, I mean, that's it's difficult.
So yeah, of course, most of the victims are real, but I still loathe to just say, that there was some people accusing X man, so he must be guilty. I mean, like, I don't really know what happened, so I can't really pass judgment. So, but a lot of people these days do right away. So I think that's a big issue, honestly. But
it's always going to be challenging. It's always going to be challenging. The harsh reality is that these allegations, Chris Avalone's proved. All he's done is prove that, and this is just looking at this thing. Chris might be innocent. Chris also might be guilty, but there's no proof that he's guilty. Whereas allegations, you need to be able to back up those allegations with evidence. So this is also the difficult thing in that I think rightfully so, people should speak out, and I think we all know there's so much harassment that goes on. We know the industry's rife with it. So the last thing I think we need is that for actual victims to look at this and think, "Oh Christ, this is going to be," and essentially not come out because of this thing. People need to realize that you do need to speak out, and particularly if it's speak out as soon as it's happening. It's too late for some people, obviously. But I think and this is me just devil's advocate. Chris might actually be guilty. He's won this case, but well, O.J. Simpson was found innocent. That's all I'm going to say on that respect. Guilty people do get found innocent at times. I hope this is justice and he actually was innocent. But I'm just sort of playing devil's advocate here.
Well, anyway, like I said, on a personal note, as a gamer, I do hope he gets the chance to prove himself again.
Yeah.
With some
Yeah.
companies. So because I always liked his games and especially RPG fans. He worked on a lot of those, so I do hope he comes back in a fashion. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
Oh well.
anyway,
So I suppose let's just talk about what we're playing. Let's wrap it. So what are you playing, Francesco?
Well, other than trying like, the other day to get into the Diablo 4 beta and then just giving up because queues are not for me. I'm playing Resident Evil 4, the remake, and everything I want to say is that whoever came up with that parry mechanic that you can parry almost every attack with your knife needs to be given a raise because it makes the game feel so much more fun to play than let's say classic Resident Evil, even though the original Resident Evil 4 wasn't really classic Resident Evil, but I'm enjoying it a lot. Well, the base game was a great action game. Not much horror, but everyone knows that. But it's a great action game. So I haven't played Resident Evil 4 in a very long time, like more than 10 years. And this made me the remake made me remember why it's such a good game because it really doesn't let up. It's just one thing after another, and it's just great. I'm not going to comment on how faithful it is to the original because I remember very little of the original, so I don't know. I can't really tell what has been changed exactly, but so far I get the same feelings I got when I played the original. That's just great fun and still one of the best Resident Evil games, and there's a good reason for this because it's really, 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 really good, and it runs well, which is on PC, and it's something that very few games can say right now at release.
Especially Japanese-made games. So if you think about
it runs great. So that's a plus, and it's totally worth it. I mean, I'm probably one of the best games I played this year. Well, I haven't played that many games, but it's probably one of the best and very, very fun.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played much of the just the demo, but Resident Evil 4. When I played it, I played it on PC but several years ago. But there was already the HD mod, one of the earlier version of it, and I was also blown away because, like you said, it was just one thing after another, and also I think it's by far the longest Resident Evil game. Probably. I don't know if 6 is also quite long, perhaps, but
it's 6 is too long for what it does because it really drags on.
And it's also kind of split in 3 campaigns or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's 4 co-op. It's honestly, I think it's the modern Resident Evil game. Then if they ever were to remake it, they would have to rethink the whole game because I don't really think it works that well, and it's considered one of the worst games in the series, and I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, but Resident Evil 4 runs very well. It looks good, so it will be interesting to see whether they remake Resident Evil 5 because now we're up to that, right? Next.
I think they'll do Code Veronica. I think they'll do either Code Veronica or the first one before they redo 5 because I think it has aged much better than the others. It still feels pretty modern, even though it's been released like 15 years ago.
They'll be remaking Res Evil Village in about 10 minutes.
Well, with with the third person DLC, they pretty much did that already because I haven't played it yet in third person, but I will, and it kind of feels different already from the first
Yeah.
person view. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't think Resident Evil 5 needs much of a remake. I think 6 needs a reimagining rather than a remake because I don't think it works that well. And other than that, I think Code Veronica. It's time for a Code Veronica remake because not many people played that one because it was released. It was released on Sega Dreamcast, I think. Then it was ported over other consoles.
Yeah. Code Veronica has been kind of like the redheaded stepchild for a while,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
and
I don't know because lots of fans are pining for a remake, but Capcom works in mysterious ways.
yeah,
Like you said, maybe they'll remake something else first.
yeah,
But yeah, and also it will be interesting, as you kind of hinted, that the next mainline game, will it have first person, third person, or both? Who knows?
Who knows?
It's not. It's going to be top down.
That wouldn't be too bad if they were making a smaller game. That would work. I honestly I think they're going to get both first person and third person because so far only 7 is the one that is only first person.
Hmm.
So it's Village released as first person, but then they caved in and they gave a third person DLC. So maybe that shows that they're probably going to go in a different way. Also, seeing how the remakes have with the behind the shoulders camera, they're probably going to offer both.
I
I
mean,
think.
not many games offer both first person and third person. I think the Bethesda games do, and
Yeah.
then not many,
It's
honestly.
because it's rare that usually
Yeah.
with the game, well, generally speaking, first and third, the perspective is how they dictate everything. A horror game
Yeah.
needs to be quite directed. That will always be the case. Um, yeah, I don't know. Hello, cat. Yeah, I just think it's difficult to make a game that, especially a horror style game, that works in both first and third person. I would think, because of how directed things need to
Yeah.
be.
Like I said, I didn't play Village with the third person DLC, but most people were saying that it's not the impact of everything is lessened by the third person. It's not as scary
Yeah,
as in
you
first
have
person.
to make it scarier in other ways,
Mm.
but
Yeah,
those ways may not work in the first person. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
yeah. It's one of those.
Yeah.
kind of
It's going to be. It's a difficult one. So we'll see. Let's do it. Sorry, let's do it second person. Yes.
second person. I don't know. What is it, like a really close third person? Like
I don't
Yeah.
know. So you're the one being escorted somehow. It's
You
it's
play
one long
Ash.
escort quest, but yeah, you're the one being escorted.
an
Don't
So you
give
get
Ashley
to go
game.
hide in a.
Don't give Capcom ideas. They're going to make an Ashley DLC for Resident Evil 4 where
Yeah.
you're the helpless girl who's getting rescued.
It's perfect.
Perfect, as your kittens would say.
Exactly. I'm just trying to think. I'm sure there's like, I don't know. I'm sure there must be some second person games out there. Um, yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
Well, I'd say second person view would be like the over the one they have in the Resident Evil remakes, because you don't really get your whole character. It's like the behind the shoulder camera. I would say that it's
Yeah,
second person because with
Yeah, yeah.
the God of
uh,
War, the two God of War games, the last
yeah.
two God
It's
of War games. I
it's
think
like I
that is
said, it's a really close third person,
um,
so you don't see much of your surroundings.
yeah.
Oh, even better. Even better. Scrap it all. Just make a Resident Evil version of Five Nights. No, make a Five Nights of Freddy version of Res Evil. So it's all through
Hmm.
like yeah. I don't know. You're just sat in a room. Fuck knows. Sod it. I don't know. In fact, I'm sticking to what I've already said. Make a. Somebody needs to make a horror game where you're the one being escorted.
Hmm.
I
I actually
suppose
think
that,
that could work.
Yeah.
yeah, if they make you like totally helpless, and the horror
Yeah.
could be there.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But
You know
I
they're
would,
going to make this. You know they're going to make something like this multiplayer, and you wouldn't like it.
yeah. I was just thinking that it would have to. It would actually have to be multiplayer because can you really trust the AI to be
Yeah.
smart?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Unless
Okay,
unless it's
scrap that.
heavily scripted, but if it's heavily scripted, then it wouldn't be that fun.
Yeah, scrap that then. Scrap that. Don't listen to me, Capcom. Fuck off.
Don't do
cut.
that.
Right. So what are you playing, Alessio?
Well, I've been playing some of the Diablo 4 beta again, like I said, but I think I spoke about that last week. I think I can speak about Atlas Fallen. I've played the preview code of the game. It's the new game from Deck 13,
Okay.
and
Oh, I really want to play that. I'll
Yeah,
love the
me
look of
too.
that.
That looked very good in the trailer.
yeah, it's a very different game from the ones they previously made. They always made kind of Souls-like games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That this one is much more like they
Ac-
said, it's much more like the new games from God of War or
Action
Horizon.
RPG-ish.
Mm.
Yeah, basically you have the ability to like walk the sands. It's
Yeah.
set in a post-apocalyptic world which is nearly entirely covered by sand, and you basically are a nameless guy because people are kind of downtrodden, and there is kind of a overseer god who keeps everyone down, basically. And suddenly you get to find a kind of a mythical gauntlet, which
Yeah.
well, there seems to be kind of kind of a trend with these mythical gauntlets that
Mm.
even speak, because this one speaks too. So I
Reminds me
think
of
it's
something.
now it's Forspoken, and then there was another game recently. I think I forgot, but it's kind of a trend that now a piece of equipment talks.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can basically use it to zip around. There's lots of moves like air dash, so it's more like a traditional action game with some RPG elements. And there are these open areas. It's not like huge open world, but you can explore a lot more than in say the Surge, for example.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less linear. There are quests, so you can accept these side quests when you're going around the places. You can explore these ruined keeps and whatnot. And of course, it's not nearly as hard as the Surge, but I think that's kind of a given with the genre change. So
Yeah.
it's more about doing cool moves, do cool combos and whatever. And the one thing I'm not totally sure about is the momentum mechanic, because basically
Yeah. I
the
remember.
most of these abilities are connected to the momentum. So as much as you build momentum, you unlock them for use in combat. But for example, like there are 3 tiers of momentum, and you can't use the abilities in the second and third tier until your momentum has passed the
Wait.
threshold.
Well, that
So
makes sense in a way. I think the
yeah,
thing
but
about the momentum that I remember from Gamescom is that the more momentum you build, the more susceptible to damage you are.
yeah, that's also true. But my problem with this is that there aren't that many active abilities unless you get to the, like I said, second and third
Okay.
tier momentum. So when you are still in the first year, you don't have that many abilities. So it's kind of a bit repetitive in a way. I don't know. I just feel like locking all of these active abilities to having a certain amount of resource momentum is it's interesting, but it's also kind of risky in terms of making combat feel a bit dull over time. I don't know. We'll see with the final game, but yeah, it's an interesting game. It's kind of my type of game. Of course, don't expect like huge polish, AAA polish. It's still kind of Eurojank
It's still
most
a
of the
Deck
time.
13 game, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know for sure the engine, but I think they're still using their own engine because it doesn't look like Unreal Engine. And the graphics aren't exactly amazing for now, and I don't think it has even DLSS or FSR. So
How are you
it's
going
kind
to
of
live
like
if it's not got tray racing and everything?
Even with
uh,
even without that, you need the LSS now because I haven't been able to
yeah,
run some
it's
simple
about
stuff without.
performance, but
Yeah.
yeah, it does look like an interesting title if you like action RPGs for sure. Probably not going to be a masterpiece or anything, but could be like a 7 to 8 game. I think for what I
Well,
played so far.
like the Surge, pretty much, because that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
how I felt. Though the Surge 2 was much improved over the first one, and they had some interesting stuff. They had like those directional parries that made the game very fun. So I think
Yeah.
I think Deck 13 has been rising. They've been upping their game since the first the Surge. So I'm quite interested in Atlas Fallen because it felt a bit like
yeah,
Monster Hunter 2 in a way. Because I think I saw some footage that you could destroy parts of a monster to get
Yeah, the big
items,
crab thing. I
disable
saw that at
stuff.
Gamescom.
So
yeah.
yeah,
You can destroy parts of the body if you. Yeah, that's no. It is pretty fun, but yeah, it's less technical of a combat. Like you don't have directional parries here, so compared to the other ones, so it's more like traditional action RPG rather than Souls-like. And yeah, it's interesting because, for example, if you think of Spiders, the French studio, like they went from action RPG to Souls-like with Still Rising, and Deck 13 is doing the reverse. So they went from Souls-like to action RPG.
I think the market is getting a little saturated with these
No shit.
Souls-like games. So I think some studios are trying to get something else going on for them because
Yeah.
there
They need
there are
to.
too many of those games and now we're getting some of those games that are not as good as they should be. Like you said, like you mentioned, Still Rising had so many issues that
Yeah. Well, but anyway, the thing is, I don't know. It's coming out, I think, in the first half of May, but there are quite a few games coming out in that time frame. There is Zelda coming out near that time, and Dead Island 2 just at the end of April. Then there are lots of more games coming out in May, and then, of course, June with Street Fighter, Diablo, Final Fantasy 17. So sorry, 16. But yeah, it's going to be a busy time between May and June for game releases.
Yeah. All fun though.
Chris, can you talk about what you're playing? I think you can talk, right?
Yeah.
Because
I'll probably not get. I'll not get the review out for the day because that's tomorrow, and life has been busy and COVIDy. I've been playing the Great Wall Western Front. I like it, but it's going to be weird for a lot of people. Like, so when you're playing a strategy game, especially a real-time strategy, you tend to, how can I say it? The Great Wall Western Front is slow. Now, considering it's based on World War One, which was incredibly fucking slow, I suppose that's quite thematic. But when you're actually playing a battle, and it's difficult. It is difficult when you trying to get your soldiers into the enemy trenches, and which doesn't help when the pathfinding's a bit fucking shit. I've had soldiers climb out of the trench, run part way. These are trenches that are close together. Run part way, and then because not all the units come out of the trench, they're walking back and they're getting shot at. And I'm like, no, you silly bastards, go forward. Oh dear, it's madness. Yeah, it's an interesting strategy game. A mixture of not quite grand. I suppose a mixture of grandish strategy and the real-time strategy elements. So, yeah, real-time strategy is the best part about it. It's slow. It's very tactical. Well, probably real-time tactics more than anything. Yeah, real-time tactics we'll call it, because you don't build a base. Yeah, it's slow. It's very methodical, and you are going to lose a lot of soldiers. But again, World War One.
It's made from Petroglyph, right?
It's the old Command and Conquer. Well, some of the old Command and Conquer veterans. Developed by Petroglyph of Grey Goo and other games, and published by Frontier. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, embargo's tomorrow, so I can talk about it. But review will probably be out a bit later in the week, thanks to the COVID. But so far, I'm sort of aiming between a 7 and 8, somewhere along that area. I've just found a few bugs, and yeah, just a few things. Yeah, I don't know, between 7 and 8 so far. Initial reactions from what I've wrote down in my little notebook.
Yeah, I guess people, are very used to high scores in gaming, but when they hear about 7 to 8, they're like, oh,
that's not
disappointed.
Bad. That's not bad.
But it's not bad. I mean, not every game can possibly be a 9 or more. So
no. So yeah. But yeah, so I think that's it for the day. In fact, we're nearly at an hour anyway, so yeah. Right. That'll do for today, and we will see you all